Hey guys, my name is Logan Schuss, forward for the Vancouver Warriors, and you're listening to the Pro Lacrosse Talk.
On Schreiber. Sidearm whip, scores!
Now in front, Fidel scores! Paul Rabel splits two and scores!
Kylie O'Miller showing off those shifty skills.
Scramble for it on the floor, Logan Schuss finds it, and he scores!
Welcome to Pro Lacrosse Talk, the voice of Pro Lacrosse. I'm Hutton, he's Adam. Together we're bringing you interviews with your favorite players and coaches, as well as news from all 4 professional lacrosse leagues. All right, we're here with Logan Schuss, former Ohio State Buckeye and current lefty forward with the Vancouver Warriors. Logan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to kind of go back a little bit to start the convo to your days in BC and British Columbia and Ladner. Your dad was a kind of a local legend there in BC. And what was it like being exposed to a sport at such a young age and growing up in a household where lacrosse was such a big part of your lives?
Yeah, honestly, just like you said, as soon as I was born, I was given a stick, and lacrosse was a big focus in our family right from the get-go. So, like you guys said, my dad was a pretty big legend, still is to this day here in Ladner, and his jersey's retired up in the rafters in our local arena where he I think he played close to 20 years in Senior B and kind of a couple games up here and there with Senior A teams, but. Yeah, he won 2 President's Cups, which is the Senior B Canadian Championships here in Ladner, and a big reason why his jersey's retired up in the rafters.
That's awesome. And then, you left Canada, took your talents to Ohio State University, where you had a tremendous career. You finished as the leading goal scorer in Buckeye history with 146 career goals. What was it like playing at Ohio State for those 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in such a small town, I was when I went on my first official visit when I was younger, it was a pretty big eye-opener to get down to such a big school. It was kind of a little scary at first, and, when I was on my visit, and, they took me to a, 50-yard line of an Ohio State football game, and you guys probably know how big those are. So to be put in such a big atmosphere like that and to see all the, first-class facilities and the trainers and the fields and just the level of the program it is down there is, I only took one official visit for colleges, and, the next day I signed for Ohio State. So it didn't really take much for me to be able to think, this could be my next home for the next 4 or 5 years. And leaving home here in Vancouver where, I only have one high school in my town, and, small town, all my friends never went to school, never left home. They all, stuck around here and had kind of full-time trades jobs. As soon as you kind of graduate high school, you get put into, kind of the working class environment. So going down to big school like that was kind of out of the box for me. But, looking back now, I wouldn't have done any other way. Like Ohio State's, probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. And, I hang my hat on that every day. So, the degree I earned from there and, the friendships I made and, the impact I had on my career, not only just lacrosse, but in life, it's really, really special.
That's great.
You finished up your college career and then got drafted by the Swarm, and then we're dealt to Vancouver, where you spent the rest of your pro career so far. What's it been like being back in BC and playing professionally?
Yeah, and I touched base a little bit on my Minnesota career. So
sure.
I was drafted, first overall to Minnesota, and I took a 5th year in college to finish up my student teaching. Just because I didn't have time during the lacrosse season to do it. So I took a 5th year and kind of a little victory lap there at school so I can enjoy a little bit of time as a regular student at Ohio State, which was awesome. But definitely didn't take any time off of the lacrosse aspect. I was kind of took a role as, maybe as a volunteer, unofficially coach for the team. And I was at every practice, every event with the team as a 5th year. And, it was really cool to be able to, stay within the program and help out Coach Myers and the rest of the staff. They're really family to me. So it wasn't, Coach Myers would love to have me back there today even, right? So it was awesome to be able to stick around there and continue to stay in shape and to work with some of the younger guys coming in, some of the freshmen. We had Jake Waiters at the time, was a freshman when I was a 5th year. So it was great to, kind of get to hang out with him and see the rest of the Canadian Ohio State family and kind of take care of those guys for a bit. But, transitioning into coming back to Vancouver, I took a job where, the flexibility wasn't as great as I'd like it to be. So I was able to, talk to the Minnesota Swarm, and they were great with kind of working with me to get me back to Vancouver to play full time. So it's been great. We started with the Stealth and then now with the Warriors downtown Vancouver. It's, first class organization with the Canucks owning our team, and it's been special to be able to play in front of my family and friends every time we play at home, and kind of make an impact in the city a little bit with the lacrosse community and continue to make it grow.
That's great, and that's what kind of leads into my next question was going to be, the Warriors originally, they weren't in downtown Vancouver. Now they are playing at the Rogers Arena. I mean, what has it been like playing in such a revered venue as Rogers Arena, like you mentioned with the Canucks organization?
Yeah, it's been great. I think at first it was a little tough with the transition because we had the Warriors. The Canucks took over ownership kind of late summer, and then our season starts at November, December. So they didn't have much time to kind of totally 360 flip this organization into a different ownership. So obviously there were some bumps in the road as a first year team, but I can't thank the organization enough with the Canucks coming in, and it's such a big organization, such a storied franchise that they do so many great things in the hockey world that it's really starting to trickle into the lacrosse world. And I know I speak for the whole team where we are pretty privileged to have a great ownership and great management who really want to take care of us and really grow the game of lacrosse downtown. And even I'm going to Canucks game tonight against St. Louis Blues, and every time I even go into the arena, Rogers Arena, it's a special it's a special event. It's kind of a big deal, and to be able to watch a great sporting event downtown Vancouver and have access to all the nightlife and just the beautiful area it's really special.
That's great. Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I actually ended up moving downtown with one of my teammates, Mitch Jones. So I live basically on top of the arena, so it's pretty easy to get to and from practice and games.
That's awesome.
So kind of going back to last season, you guys finished 5-13, but you only missed the playoffs by a game under Chris Gill in his first season. Now that he's had a full off season to prepare, what has Coach Gill really done to get the squad ready for this 2020 season? And is there anything else kind of on a personal standpoint you've done to improve your game coming into the year?
Coach Gill and the rest of the staff have done a great job of trying to fill in the depths of our roster. Last year we had a great team. Like everyone bonded, everyone did what they could do to try to get as many wins as we can. We had 3 more wins from the previous season and a couple more wins at home than we did this past season with Donald Langley. So, there's always steps to improvement, and this year they brought in a bunch of guys to make camp competitive, and basically, right from the get-go, no one was safe from, nobody had a lock on the team. Everyone was out there to practice and work hard. And, they emphasized that, this is a different year. We're bringing guys in that are hungry, that are competitive, that are in shape, that want to win and want to, make their stamp on this league. So you can see it just with the cuts we've made so far and the trades that we've made and the pickups that we've had. I think probably from last year's team, we might only have 50 to 60% of the return of the roster. So it's a bit of a flip, but I think it's for the better. I think there's a lot of guys that came into camp that are hungry to make a splash in this league. So on a personal note, I've kind of always played a little bit of a heavier weight than I've wanted to, and this year was, I've done a great job in the past years of kind of getting in shape and being in the class shape ready to go for the season. But I really wanted to be in shape this year just to kind of make a splash. And last year I didn't have my best season, and getting older with a bunch of these young guys coming in that are hungry, like you got to keep kind of bumping up each year, getting better and better. And so I took it upon myself, and I really attacked my weight, and I wanted to be down. Set myself a goal, and I lost about 25, 26 pounds from the summertime. So you guys might not recognize me out there if I'm buzzing around a bit.
So we're gonna see a speedier Logan Schuss this year.
Yeah, that was the big emphasis of mine. Was just kind of getting that weight down. I've always had the strength, and the ability to kind of get to the net and get a powerful shot, but I definitely needed to work on my speed, and I addressed that. So hopefully it pays off.
That's great. And kind of going off of that, you mentioned how you got a lot of new faces on this team. What's been the vibe, during training camp heading into the season, and what excites you the most about this squad?
Yeah, I think some of the guys that I've really been impressed with at camp is, Bobby Snyder, brother Jeff Snyder, his face-on guy, had some time with Calgary Roughnecks and other teams throughout the league, and he kind of took a practice role spot. He's battling some injuries last year with the Calgary Roughnecks, but, he came into camp like in unbelievable shape and hungry to get back in this league as a number one kind of face-off guy and player for our team. And, it showed in camp where I think he went like 80 or 90% on the draws and two scrimmages. So he's going to be exciting for us because that was a big part of our game that we needed to bump up, was getting those possessions after goals and after, starts of the next quarters and stuff to get those possessions. So that's been really exciting to see him out there. And, a couple pump my local hometown boys tires a little bit here. John Phillips is a lefty forward that, has made it through the first kind of round of cuts so far, and looking to crack a roster, as well as Sam Clare is a defender, lefty defender, and they're both from my hometown here, and it's pretty cool to see guys like that step up and try to get to the next level. I grew up coaching Johnny. He's about 4 or 5 years younger than me.
That's
and
awesome.
I played with Sam growing up, and it's funny, he's probably 3 houses down from where my parents lived back in Ladner. So as kids, we used to grow up and we'd play ball hockey together and other just different things down the street. So it's pretty cool to be battling with those guys at camp.
Wow, yeah, it sounds like you got a good hometown crew going into the season. Well, that wraps up our main questions. We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsor, and then we'll dive into our 5 and 5 segment. Hey everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of the Pro Lacrosse Talk podcast. We've been using Anchor for our podcast since the very start. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place, and better yet, it's free. They allow you to easily record and edit your podcast so it sounds great and send it out to all the major networks such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Better yet, they connect you with advertisers so you can start making money from your podcast right away. So if you're interested in starting a podcast, download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Today's show is being brought to you in part by Stitcher Premium. You can use Stitcher Premium to listen to shows ad-free such as Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, My Favorite Murder, Wolverine the Lost Trail, or our favorite, The Fantasy Footballers. For only $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year, you get access to Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, and comedy albums. Better yet, if you go over to Stitcher.com/premium and use the promo code lacrosse today, you can get 1 month free. So head on over to Stitcher, sign up, and get your free trial today. All right, welcome back. So let's dive into our 5 and 5. Adam, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. So these are the lacrosse-related questions. So number 1, any pregame superstitions or routines?
I don't really have too many. I like to, take a shower before each game, kind of whatever arena that we're going to, get in there and hop in for a clean shower. And then after that, not really much. I like to keep it loose in the locker room. So anytime that I can get onto the DJ booth there, I can, keep it light with the boys and dance around and joke around with the guys. It's kind of not bitten me in the past, but kind of people question how I get ready for games, but I like to keep it really light. And I'm the type of guy that can, be joking 2 seconds before the game, and then once the game hits, I'm all serious. So, just nice, keep it nice and light before the game, and then once it's game time, clock in.
Nice. So kind of going back to your younger days, any this may be an easy answer, and we talked about your dad a little bit already, but who was your favorite lacrosse player growing up in BC?
You know what? My favorite lacrosse player in BC, I don't think I really kind of grew up idolizing my brother and stuff when he's 2 years older, but my favorite lacrosse player of all time is John Grant Jr. It's funny because, I grew up having posters of him on my walls, and I'd watch YouTube clips of him pretty much religiously every day, trying to copy what he did on during his games and stuff. And then coming into the pro ranks my first couple of seasons, I was playing against them, and it's funny because there's been some times where after games I was able to kind of go out for a beer with them and hang out and kind of talk to them and get to be good friends now. So I consider him one of my good friends off the floor, and we talk all the time and we joke online. So it's pretty cool how it goes 360
Yeah, absolutely.
Guy that just grew up idolizing and trying to be like. He's such a down-to-earth guy that's so cool, and when you get to kind of play against him, I remember it was a cool story. We were playing for the first time against each other. He was playing for the Denver Outlaws, and I was on Ohio Machine, and it was just a shootout, like basically going back and forth. Like I think the final score was like 25-24, and it was he'd go score a goal, then I'd score a goal. He'd score, I'd score. We were just kind of jogging off the floor and stuff. He's like, kid, quit scoring. I can't keep up with you, bro. Just something like that, something cool. And I was like, damn, like John Andrew was talking to me here, so it was pretty cool in that game.
That's awesome. Has he shared with you the secret to playing at a high level at his age yet?
I honestly don't know how he does it. I still think he's one of the best in the game, and
Absolutely.
he's the GOAT for a reason. I think he's honestly one of the best to ever do it. And I guess I don't know what his wife's feeding him or what he's got going on in Denver, but he's definitely just a machine.
It's funny you say that because I literally I met him when I'm from Philly, and I met him in middle school and met him and idolized him too and got his poster signed. And a guy came up to me and was like, "Oh, it's good you got it because he's probably not going to play for too much longer." And here we are, like a long time down the road, and he's still taking his hand. So pretty awesome. So you talked about kind of the competitive banner and joking around with him. You're known as one of the funnier guys in the league, but which one of your Warrior teammates do you find the funniest?
We have Mitch Jones, my roommate. He's pretty good with coming up with some stuff, and you can always count on him to chime in the group chat online and stuff. But I have a great time messing around with guys like Justin Salt and Brandon Goodwin. It's funny that Justin Salt, my first year in the league, when I was in Minnesota and we were playing Vancouver, and my first game ever playing pro lacrosse back home in Vancouver was against him, and I ended up fighting him. My first ever career fight, and I ended up getting the decision on him. Like I don't know if I thought anyone else had any clue what they were doing, I would have got my ass kicked. But thankfully, I drew Justin Salt, and he was just as clueless as I was. So we duked it out in the corner, and I kind of got the best of him. But I still kind of hold it over his head today, and I say, yeah. Anytime that he's kind of chirped me and stuff, I tell him to meet me in my corner, and we can talk it out. But no, he's actually turned into one of my best friends on the team, and one of my most favorite teammates, so it's pretty funny how that happens. Yeah,
absolutely. That's awesome. So kind of moving more to your stick setup, what does that look like for you, whether it's shafts, head, string, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I use all Warrior stuff. I use the Warrior Evo 5. Doesn't really matter which shaft I use. I don't really like to use the lightest shaft, so I kind of pick. I honestly, I'm the worst with knowing exactly what stuff I use. I'm pretty good with grabbing any shaft and throwing it on there. And if it's got a little bit of a tape on the end of it and it's plugged into my stick, I can use it. Right? So I'm not too picky, but there's a ton of great Warrior shafts that I use, and I've been using some just standard mediums, kind of soft mesh with just 2 shooters across the top and then 1 nylon. I've kind of changed it up. I use a pretty medium to high pocket with not that big of a pocket anymore. I've changed my ways from college with going from using a ton of whip in my stick to just trying to get it out quick now. I got a decently hard shot, but nowadays it's all about kind of getting the shot off quick and picking a spot rather than shooting at 100 miles an hour in a game. That's more kind of like a field lacrosse, is just whip it at the cage and it might go in. Box lacrosse is so dialed in, you got to kind of pick your spots and got to be able to get the shots off fast when you're just playing in that small window. There's only so much time you can shoot and score, and I've kind of dialed my stick in a little bit more this year, so it seems to be working at camp, and coaches are happy with what I've been doing so far, so I'm happy with it.
There we go. That's awesome. And then you kind of probably answered this question already, but you played in a lot of awesome places in college. You play in an awesome facility now in Rogers Arena. But what's been your favorite venue to play in thus far through your career?
You know what? I'll have a couple, but I'll start with down at Ohio State. before, nowadays I think they play at Ohio Stadium year round, but we used to have this special game every year, and it was before the Ohio State football spring game.
Okay.
So obviously Ohio State football is so big, and they do, I think it was $5 for anyone to come in to watch the spring football game. But so the spring football game would start at, I think, 1 o'clock or noon, and the lacrosse game would start at 10. So it was first come, first serve for seats for the football game. So, I think any given spring game, at our halftime, there'd probably be about 60 to 70, 80,000 fans inside Ohio Stadium.
Awesome.
And a lot of times they'd kind of link it up to, it would be us versus Michigan for lacrosse. So, Ohio State fan of any nature sees a Michigan jersey on the field, they're booing and they're kind of giving it to them. So, it was a lot of strategic placing there. It was great, but that's probably my favorite time to play in college was at a venue like that. And, we got to use the Ohio State football locker room, and they gave us, it was so busy around the stadium, so we got from our locker room about 10 minutes away, they'd have like a police escort, and they'd roll up, and you kind of felt like a big deal going into a stadium like that. So that was probably one of the bigger experiences for my playing days at Ohio State. But for the NLL, anytime you, like I said, you get to enter down through one of the with the buses down into the depths of the stadium, the First Niagara Center in Buffalo, or Toronto Air Canada Center, Rogers Arena, the Pepsi Center in Denver. It's pretty cool. And so when you get to play at a big arena like that, and you get a sellout crowd in Denver or Calgary or Buffalo, it's pretty special. And I think some of my favorite games have been in Denver. They always have a great crowd there, and especially when we play against Calgary. Vancouver Canucks and Calgary Flames always have such a big rivalry that it's kind of carried over to the lacrosse world too. So a couple of those stadiums have been really great to play on pro-wise.
That's awesome. You definitely had a big mix of indoor and outdoor experiences. So that's pretty cool. But that wraps up our lacrosse questions. Now I'll ask you some off the field questions. And the first one I'll ask is, who is your favorite non-lacrosse athlete to watch? I'm going to guess it's probably a hockey player, but I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, you guessed it. I really love watching Alex Ovechkin play. I think he's just like a beast on the floor and on the ice, whatever you call it. So he's a type of power forward. Like, I always kind of pride myself on being able to get loose balls and to have to get big hits if I need to, or kind of rough it up a bit. So you ever see him play, he's not scared to A, drop the nets, or B, lay a hit, or just have that big heavy outside shot, and he's still doing it at his age. He's pretty impressive to watch, and I definitely think he's one of my favorite athletes, non-lacrosse related athletes.
Perfect answer. I'm a Caps fan, so I love that answer. I love watching Ovi. I'm fortunate I was living in the DC area for a while, so I got to go to a lot of games. Now I'm up in North Jersey, so I don't get to go as much, but still when I'm back home, love checking out a Caps game and hoping they can make it 2 out of 3 years, hopefully this season. They're looking pretty good so far, so hopefully they keep it going.
Yeah, hopefully they don't come up against my Canucks, otherwise they should.
Canucks are looking good too. It looks like Quinn Hughes is going to be back. So
yeah, I'm excited for tonight's game.
They look good. I know they've had a few. They had a rough season last year without the Sedin twins, and they're looking like they're getting back to form. So it'll be a fun year for the NHL.
You beat my Flyers in that shootout a little bit ago, so I'm still bitter about that. So
a little bit, yeah. No, it's been so great. Just we've been able to interact with some of those guys quite a bit, and trying to get to know them a bit off the floor, and to be able to see what they're doing on the ice now is special. And it's a great young group, and I think they're hungry to kind of create a winning team here in Vancouver, and hopefully we can follow suit.
Yeah, that's great. Well, going off of that, number 2, what are some hobbies or activities that you enjoy doing when you're not on the lacrosse field?
Yeah, I love anything to do with the outdoors, right? So Vancouver here is beautiful year-round. You can't really beat a summertime in Vancouver. You got the beaches here. You got tons of lakes, the ocean's right here, mountains to do hiking. So some of my favorite things, we go boating a lot. A couple of my friends have some wakeboarding boats that we go out. Nice. And then I have a ton of buddies with fishing boats. So in the summertime. One day I could be wake surfing and chilling on the boat with some friends, and then the next morning you get up and you're going out to the ocean for some big salmon fishing. So kind of do anything you want on the ocean here in Vancouver. And then other than that, like anything to do kind of active-wise, we go camping a ton with all my buddies, and a couple of my friends got some cabins up in the northern parts of Vancouver and BC. So it's great to go up there in the cabin, kind of cottage life, and just hang out by the fire and have a couple of beverages and just enjoy the times with some friends and the weather. And even in the wintertime here, it's awesome to kind of be able to get up to the mountains. And I haven't skied or snowboarded in a while just because I'm not good at it, and B, it's I don't want to get injured or anything for
That's
my
a bad
season,
combo.
so yeah, I appreciate the sport a lot. It's tough doing any of those kind of skiing or snowboarding and stuff. So I'm the guy that's in the lodge hanging out, having a glass of hot chocolate. But anything to do with the mountains and stuff in the wintertime here in BC is beautiful.
Awesome. Well, let's go with a little throwback here for our third question. What was one of your favorite classes to take when you were at Ohio State?
Yeah, so I took a ton of pretty different classes just because I was a phys ed major, so I got my degree in teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so once it was about my third year, my junior year is really where you get into these cohorts where it's the same 30 students and you're taking all these classes together. So I took a ton of great classes where I got to get into a lot of the Columbus schools and kind of teach different sports and activities and to meet a lot of cool students and kids throughout the Columbus region there. I remember taking a few classes where we got to kind of shadow a student, and say I had little Johnny, and Johnny was my student for the year, but we would try to work with them and develop different kind of skills and push them to be better athletes within their class, and then also kind of their outside the classroom and to the school curriculum and stuff. So it was just a great way to kind of communicate, and it was pretty cool to get into some of those schools. And then we did a lot of stuff in the Columbus city schools, and to try to see the difference between a city school in Columbus, Ohio, compared to something back in Vancouver was pretty special. And I don't teach now. I have a different career, but I still love to coach and give back to the community any way I can here in Vancouver. So I still use a lot of those skills that I learned within my degree there to bring back to here to Vancouver.
That's awesome. It sounds like it was a very rewarding class too. So yeah.
Yeah, and it was fun because there was 5 of my teammates on the lacrosse team. We were all in the same degree together as well. So it was fun to kind of we would take certain classes, we'd have to try to teach pickleball or these other kind of court games, but it would be me having to teach my own teammates these games, and they'd obviously act like jerks, and it was time for me to coach them and teach them and give me a hard time. But it definitely prepared me for the real world.
Yeah, no, that's fun. Well, number 4 is what is your favorite meal, and do you prefer to dine out, take out, or cook at home?
You can't go wrong with any sushi spot here in Vancouver.
Here we go.
It's probably something I eat too much. Honestly, it's ridiculous. What I would tell you if I showed you my bank statements for how many times I went out to eat for sushi. It's pretty ridiculous. But at this point, I probably could hire around sushi chef. But yeah, sushi in BC is no joke. It's the real deal. And anytime I can, text a buddy and say, hey, I want to grab some sushi, they're more than willing to go with me. So that for takeout, that's about what I always crush is some sushi. But ton of great restaurants here in Vancouver, and I'm still trying to kind of explore them all. So you don't need to twist my arm to go out for a nice meal and to hang out with some friends. But if I'm cooking at home, I love to cook. It's funny. If I'm just sitting around watching TV, it's the Food Network, and it shows like Chopped and Beat Bobby Flay and kind of all these fun cooking network shows. So I might need to kind of get after Matt Randall a little bit and see who's a better chef as DNLL.
Yeah. No, yeah, you should. Or I don't know if you know Jerry Ragganese too has his own cooking show now.
Yeah.
No Survivors. Maybe get your way into that. That would be good. I feel like you guys would play off each other pretty well on that show.
it's funny because me and Jay, like, we have each other on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, like texting. Like, we've never met each other in person.
That's funny.
But
that's great.
me and him, I probably communicate with him more on like social media than any other person, and I've never met the guy. But it's just hilarious because he's such a character, and I watch his Instagram videos and his new YouTube, No Survivors TV, religiously, and he seems like a really cool dude. So I'd love to kind of get out there and kind of get onto a cooking show with him. And
yeah, it's a great lacrosse cook-off.
Yeah,
man, that'd be awesome. And
we'll have to push for it.
Amazing food, so.
Yeah, we'll have to push for it after this episode drops. We'll just give him a shout out saying we have his next guest for No Survivors TV, so that'll be good.
Heck yeah.
And now my final question is, what's a book on your bookshelf that you've read or are reading right now that you'd recommend to a teammate or a friend or even like a colleague at work?
Yeah, a book on my bookshelf. I'm actually just kind of into the podcast game right now. Like,
okay.
I don't I should read more. I don't read as much as I should, but I've read a couple books in my past. Like, I just kind of like biographies, like Jerry Seinfeld biography is pretty cool. Kind of just like books. I know Mitch is reading a book with Michael Jordan, so I've kind of flipped through a few pages there, and it seems quite interesting. But ton of podcasts. Like, I like to listen to podcasts rather than music right now. But I've been listening to you guys for a while, so then that's one of the podcasts on rotation, and obviously Spittin' Chicklets and Joe Rogan Experience is great. So there's a ton of great ones out there, and it's just nice to kind of just rather like listen to the same songs over and over again. Just my drive to work's about 30-40 minutes, so I just plug in a podcast and just kind of cruise and listen along. And I've heard some great things about some like ebooks and stuff, so I've been thinking about getting into that. With the season coming up and traveling, it's spend a lot of time in the airports and on the planes and stuff. So
sure.
If you guys got any recommendations on books, or what's on your guys' shelves?
Yeah, well, I like that you mentioned podcasts. We should change this question to include podcasts because, sometimes we get that answer and I'm kind of the same way. Like, I can't remember when I read a book cover to cover that was like in my hand. It's usually listening to audiobooks or whatever. I don't know, anything by Tim Ferriss I would recommend. He does a good job of breaking things down. He's very practical. I'm more of a practical reader. I don't know. Adam reads a lot more than me too, though he's got some recommendations, I'm sure.
I read a lot, but to be honest with you, I do a lot of the audiobooks too. There's this app called Libby, LBBY, that literally you can connect to your library card and get all the ebooks for free pretty much, or the audiobooks. So that's my go-to. But the podcast game, before I got my new job, Logan, I had an hour commute, so I was doing the same thing, bunch of podcasts, bunch of books. So
yeah, and Spittin' Chicklets is a good one. I like listening to that. Hockey. I do video editing at the MLB Network and AHL Network. So I've actually sat in meetings with Ryan Whitney, and he's just hysterical. And I like listening to his podcast as well in my spare time. So I don't know. I feel like we're on the same wavelength in terms of podcasts. Yeah, that's my recommendation. Really is anything by Tim Ferriss. He has a podcast as well. It's more long form, usually longer than an hour even. But if you have a long commute, that's just one episode, so it's not bad.
If you like listening to, so I was a goalie. So if you're sticking to like the hockey side, 6 Degrees with Mike McKenna is an awesome one. He just retired and started up a podcast, so he's a good one to go to. He has a lot of different people on.
Nice, yeah, and it's funny because I never once in my life played hockey, so it's weird because I'm from Vancouver, Canada, but I think I've been skating maybe 10 times my whole life, but I'm a force on the ball hockey circuit, so
there we go.
If there's ever any ball hockey podcast, then maybe I could be a guest on one of those. But
yeah,
I think the Spittin' Chicklets I think the Spittin' Chicklets is just hilarious, and I think it's just definitely just makes me think of the good times of playing in college and pro and listening to the stories, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we usually like to wrap up with one final question, Logan, and it's what is some advice that you have for a young player looking to one day play lacrosse professionally like yourself?
Yeah, honestly, I think you got to keep it fun. just seeing like all these travel teams and clubs and, you know, tournaments and everything that these kids are going to, like it could be stressful. Like I remember even just going to tournaments and tryouts and camps myself as like I went to U19 Team Canada and men's Team Canada, and like it was stressful. Like, I was like kind of nervous and getting there, and it was like almost at the point where like it was almost not fun just because you're like overthinking it and not playing your game. So I think when all of it comes down to it, like just have as much fun as you can with it and to play and be competitive and you know, never if at any point it becomes a chore for you to go to practice or go to the game and stuff, and maybe you got to take a break or maybe you got to join a different sport for 1 year and then try to find that love for the game again. So I see it on both ends. Like I'm still in love with lacrosse. Like I literally play it every day. Anytime I can go coach and talk about it or, you know, even just be around it, I am. Like I can't tell you how many games I go to watch as like, oh, you want to go watch a junior B game on a Monday night? And I'm like, yeah, like let's go. Like just being around the arena, like I still love it. And I've been playing for 24 years now. So just make sure you're still in love with it and make sure you make it fun. And, you know, you can find yourself playing as long as you can. That's
awesome. That's some great advice for our young listeners. And, you know, I think that's an important part. You know, if you lose that passion for it, it's, you know, what's the use in playing? You gotta still enjoy the game and you gotta still love it. So I think that's some great advice. Well, let's remind people where they can find you on social media, Logan, and that way they can connect with you.
Yeah, on Twitter it's lschuss18. My Instagram is Logan Schuss 18, and I'm pretty interactive. So if any fans reach out or if any young lacrosse fans reach out and want to chat or, you know, get some advice, I'm always on my phone. It's a bad habit of mine, but you can always reach me on those outlets. And, you know, if you're in the Vancouver region, you boys always stop by and we can get you to a game and have some fun.
Yeah, no, we'd love to. We'll have to do a road trip or a fly out there for once. I haven't been to the only part of Canada I've been is Montreal and Toronto, so I'd love to get to the Western Canada side and visit BC and Vancouver at one point. So we'll have to do that at some point.
Yeah, and we'll and we'll be at the game on January 10th in Philly when you guys play the Wings. Yeah. So we'll have to catch up that before or after the game or to say hi. So I just wanted to let you know too about that. So
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, anytime, guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Logan, so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and best of luck this season with the Warriors.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So that was just our interview with Logan Schuss, forward with the Vancouver Warriors. We really enjoyed having him on. If you enjoyed this interview with Logan, please let us know. Leave us a review on Apple, Stitcher, or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. We'd love to hear from you. Love to get your feedback. If you have any ideas for future guests, let us know. We have some upcoming interviews with the likes of Dana Dobie from the WPLL and Connor Kelly from the PLL and NLL, and as well as some other guests that we will keep under wraps for now. But we really appreciate you guys listening, and we hope you tune in next time to Pro Lacrosse Talk.